To help us break it all down, we welcome in Jake Asman, host of the Jake Asman Show. You can catch him on ESPN New York, Mad Dog Radio, at Jake Asman on X. What is going on, my man? How are you?
Stormy, I'm doing great, and congrats to your Niners on beating my Jets a couple games ago. That was painful, but I'm not shocked.
See, and that's why we had you back on, because the vibes have ended up coming back and coming better. No, Jake, you gave us a great breakdown of that game, and I feel like a lot of the things we talked about, the way that Breece Hall would be utilized, ended up coming to fruition. So I'm hoping that you can help us out once again this week against the New England Patriots. Aaron Rodgers back at home, a redo of the debut out there. What's the excitement level in New York, and what do you anticipate to get from QB1?
Yeah, I think the excitement level, I don't want to say it's where it was, last year, week 1, September 11th, he's coming out with the flag. But I do think this fan base is fired up, especially because, they come into this game now off a win where it's tied at 17 in the fourth. And Aaron Rodgers, for that final drive, goes 5 for 5, made some unbelievable throws to Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams, changing plays at the line that set up a game-winning rushing touchdown to Braylon Allen. We kind of saw on that drive, yeah, he's 40. He doesn't have the mobility maybe he once did, but the mind still works. The arm is still unbelievable. So I think this fan base is fired up. I think you're watching a Jet offense, to put it in perspective. They've scored 3 offensive touchdowns in both of their first 2 games. They only did that in 17 games last year, twice all season. So I don't even think they've scratched the surface of what they could potentially be offensively if they just get some injury luck for one. So far, so good. I think this fan base is fired up. The weather's supposed to be good. The Patriots are by far and away the most hated team amongst Jet fans. So this is going to be a big one. The crowd's going to be into it, so it should be a lot of fun.
Jake, you signed Mike Williams in the offseason, kind of seen him on a pitch count here the first couple of weeks. What is kind of the feeling around that? When does the training wheels get taken off? And is he basically, we're talking about this team in 3 weeks. Will he be the clear-cut wide receiver 2, basically out there for most of the snaps?
He should be. Now, we saw him play quadruple the amount of plays from week 1 to week 2. The Jets also just had way more plays, right? I mean, the time of possession in that Monday night game was historic for an Aaron Rodgers team. He's never had the ball so few than he did that night in 225 career starts. So from week 1 to week 2, we saw Mike Williams play a lot more. Obviously, Rodgers trusted him with the game on the line. 2nd and 16, they're not in field goal range yet, and he throws up basically a 50-50 ball to Mike Williams where he went up and made the play. So I do expect to see more of him going forward. I think it's going to really kind of depend, though, on the game script, on what plays out, because I do think this team still wants to be heavy Breece Hall, heavy Braylon Allen now, utilizing him because he's a real talent out of that backfield. And they obviously have Garrett Wilson, but as we continue to move forward, we're going to see more from Mike Williams. I think we started to see that in the fourth quarter against the Titans.
So real quick, let's go down the Breece Hall road, because for this game, I'm just looking at the Patriots run defense that looks pretty stout. In my brain, looking ahead to some props I might have interesting, I was thinking maybe this could be a Garrett Wilson game, but how do you break it down from a game script perspective?
Yeah, Stormy, I think you're spot on, right? Garrett Wilson, he's played pretty well so far. He's made some big catches, but there's been a couple plays here or there where him and Aaron, I think, have just missed on a bigger play. Yeah. There was a look last week off play action where it looked like Garrett Wilson maybe had a touchdown if Aaron got it to him a little quicker. So you're still seeing a guy shaking off some of that rust, those two getting on the same page. It could be a big Garrett Wilson game. The only thing that would give me some hesitation is that Christian Gonzalez is a really good corner on New England, but Garrett with the game on the line was able to beat L'Jarius Sneed. So if you could do that, you could get open against anyone. So I could see Garrett having a big night. He hasn't had that 100-yard game yet. I think that's coming. He hasn't found the end zone yet. I think that's coming. So I could definitely see Garrett Wilson having a quote-unquote breakout game in this one tomorrow.
Small sample size, but we came into this season thinking that this Jets defense was going to be, top 3 at the worst. I think everybody wouldn't be surprised if they'd been the number 1 overall team. Here they are, 10th worst in the NFL so far in EPA per play given up. It's not the end of the world here. Is there panic at all about the defense? Because we know that was basically what kept them in games at all last year, and you were trying to couple that defense with Aaron Rodgers and thinking great things.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I'll say this about the defense. I don't know if they're capable of being top 3 given the personnel they currently have. Because you lose Jermaine Johnson, who was a Pro Bowl player last year. He's their best defensive end as far as being able to rush the quarterback and play the run. You don't have him now. You obviously replaced Bryce Huff with Hassan Reddick, who is yet to show up and actually be a Jet longer than one day where he passed his physical. So until they figure out that situation, they still have a really good secondary. They still have really good linebackers. I think they still have really good defensive coaching, but the personnel is just not as good. So you need way more, of course, from the offense. Can they be better than what they've shown so far? I think they can, but I don't know if this is still a top 3, even top 5 defense without getting Hassan Reddick signed, sealed, and delivered. Plus, the Jets have been really healthy on that side of the ball the last 2 years. Most of their injuries, if not all, have been on offense. So far, the big injuries have been to Jermaine Johnson on defense. C.J. Mosley's questionable with a toe injury for this game tomorrow night. DJ Reed didn't play last week. He's probably a game-time decision tomorrow. So the injury bug for the Jets is actually on defense for once, where it's been the offense the last 3 years.
Yeah, and it's crazy, Jake. I said in the last segment, for all the talk that there's been about New York having this like elite unit, they might be the second best defense on the field in this game come Thursday night. Jake Asman, the Jake Asman Show. You can catch him on ESPN Radio New York as well as Mad Dog Radio, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. But to go a little bit further on the Patriots side of things, this is a team that is like fighting like hell to show that they are not the worst team in the league like everybody thought. You have a Jets team that's now playing a third game in like 9 or 10 days. When it comes to the spread, the Jets opened a 7-point favorite. It's down to 6 now, so people have been buying in on New England. You think that they can keep it close here?
The inner Jet fan of me, Stormy, tells me, like, hey, the Jets are almost a touchdown favorite. Like, I can't in good conscience tell people, yeah, the Jets are definitely going to blow them out. They're going to cover the number. I mean, from a talent standpoint, they should. Short week usually favors the home team, of course. I think the Jets have a significant advantage at quarterback. But, I mean, this is still, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of new parts. And New England has been impressive. They've been scrappy. I will say this, though. If the Jets could get up early and really feed off the crowd, I think this could be a bit of a rout because New England's, their game script is basically, hey, we have Ramondre Stevenson. We're going to run the ball. Jacoby Brissett could take care of the ball. He won't turn it over. But they're not built to come back. I mean, I think they had 3 total receptions from a wide receiver last week. If the Jets could basically stack the box and contain Ramondre Stevenson and then dare Brissett to go to Jalen Polk and some of the other guys at the receiver spot, I think they're in good shape. So I think if the Jets could get up early, it could be a rout. If you think New England could maybe stabilize the game early, this could be close into the fourth quarter.
Jake, as we look at that division now with the Tua injury, you got to think that the Dolphins are going to lose a few games that they shouldn't have somewhere along the way. Kind of feels more like a 2-team race now as opposed to a 3-team race. Can the Jets overcome the Bills? I mean, is this now the Jets' division to lose?
I still think the Bills got to be the favorites, right? They have the best player in this division in Josh Allen, who's looked phenomenal, of course, so far. But I'll say this. The Jets have played Buffalo really well the last 2 years, and that's with Zach Wilson at quarterback, right? They've been able to beat Josh Allen head-to-head the last 2 seasons. So you look at what the Jets' path is to maybe winning the division. They have an easier schedule than Buffalo, which helps. But I think you got to go at least 4-2, maybe 5-1. To win the AFC East. So I think those head-to-head matchups, Jets-Bills, that could decide it because I do think talent-wise, they're pretty similar teams. I think Allen, obviously being maybe the best player in the division, might give Buffalo the edge. But from a talent perspective, especially now with the Tua injury, I do think it's a 2-team race for the AFC East.
Jake, great stuff as always. And I got to say, huge fan of the hat. That thing is awesome.
Thank you, Stormy. I appreciate it. I have the best listeners. We call them the Asmaniacs. So I had to rep the Asmaniac. It's actually my birthday today, too, so I just did rep on my YouTube show. So.
There you go.
Happy birthday. Let's go. Awesome stuff. Yeah, the Asmaniacs are going to love that. You're amazing. Jake Asman, everybody. Make sure you check out the Jake Asman Show on YouTube, Mad Dog Radio, ESPN Radio, New York. Getting you set for Thursday Night Football coming up tomorrow from MetLife Stadium.